Hey, so just really quick here, before I get into this new tent shed upgrade that I've done in my front yard, I want to address the lack of videos over the last few months. I just been really head down working on these new projects, and I'm gonna, at the end of this video, give you a little bit of an update on what I've been working on. I've actually got a lot done, just really tough kind of breaking it down into video format. So we're just gonna get into this new shed, and I kind of noticed that the videos that I've done on the previous shed that I made have been doing really well. So I just want to kind of show you this one that I've done in my front yard here. And this is a fair bit different. I'm also going to be doing another one of these sheds in possibly for my neighbor across the street. And there's some different ways that I've done the door here. And you'll see the lack of trim. Actually, I'm still trying to find a good solution to deal with this sharp edge. I can't tell you how many times I've come around the corner and caught myself on these sharp edges. So these do have to be addressed. You don't want to leave that open, especially if you're cutting these with a grinder, which I would not recommend. You leave that nasty burr there. You know, a little kid could come up and walk up to this and put their hand on it and slice themselves open really bad. So I do need to address this open edge here, but nevertheless, you can see that I've left the canvas on the front side of this shed. And because this is a north facing side of the shed, this part of the canvas, or whatever this tarp is, actually held up really well. The biggest problem, which I've mentioned in previous videos with these stupid things, is that any little bit of sun that hits them at all, you're lucky if you get a year out of these things, and then you're throwing them away, or what are you doing? Well, I'm putting old, used, leftover, salvaged, offcuts, whatever you can find. You can oftentimes find this tin very cheap. I've had a lot of this tin given to me. The tin on the back shed was given to me. The tin I'm probably going to do on the neighbor's shed was given to me. There's lots of ways to source this tin. You can see I just overlap this stuff, running this horizontal and all the way up to the top, and then I cut down some pieces of tin and use that for ridge cap, or you can use traditional ridge cap as well. The trouble is, and this is going to be one of the first things I address, keeping the water out essentially. For the most part, these do pretty well at keeping the water out, even though you are running these horizontal, not the way they were intended. They do keep the water out unless there's a few things that you do improperly. So I'll address that in a second. I'll also just kind of mention the door system I've used on here. This was just basically a gardening shed. I keep my bikes in here, and so I just came up with a super simple way of just putting a door on here that doesn't look, too terribly bad. It was super cheap. So we'll get into that in a second here. Again, this is just a piece of tin that I cut down. You can see a little bit of light here even. A little bit of blowing snow will come in through that. You can just throw a little bit of weather stripping in there and use some small self-tapping screws to tie these together. Run along the seams on these more flat portions. On the horizontal portions, you don't have to worry about water coming in there at all, but on any of these parts where you'll get snow sitting on there and then melting and or blowing snow coming in, that'll be a little bit of an issue. The other thing was that I used two small pieces of tin for this ridge cap, essentially this makeshift ridge cap that I made, and right at the seam where you see that little bit of light there, that is another place where water comes in at that overlap. So I'll have to be sealing that as well. So if you can avoid any overlaps, especially on these flat sections, and just use full pieces all the way down, that'll work out great for you. I just used actually just typical roofing screws when I did this. Not even self-tapping, just standard metal roofing screws. And you just push really hard and you're able to get those to essentially self-tap, or you can pre-drill them. I'm a 250 pound bricklayer, so pretty easy for me just to force those in through that thin tubing. So this is the door that I've put on the front here, just to kind of keep my bikes out of view, and it'd be pretty easy to break through if somebody wanted to steal this stuff, but just out of sight, out of mind. It's more of a garden shed where I keep my fuels and so forth than anything. super basic doors here, and all I did was just use these little L brackets with some self tappers, screwed those to the steel. You know, pre-drill these when you're drilling into the ends of 2x4s, and you won't have to worry about splitting these apart. And then I just, at the bottom here, I just used concrete anchors and anchored them to my pavers, which I'll also just make quick mention of. These do shift around quite a bit on gravel, which, you know, they're supposed to be laid in sand, but it's just what I got kind of a little bit lazy, I guess, we'll just admit it. And then because they started shifting so bad, I just used some more concrete anchors and strapping to hold these together now. I'm not too worried about the appearance of this. It's just a place kind of keep my bikes out of the weather. These are all just 1x4s. I need to paint this or stain this at some point. And then these are just super basic hinges that we got here. The look, the curb appeal of this, it's definitely nothing pretty, but it's not terrible, right? Like, being able to leave this part of the canvas in here actually made the edges of this look a little bit better. Otherwise, there is a bit of screwing around to try to make these look nice in the fronts and do the trim on these. I'm still working on a solution. Once I do come up with a good solution for making a border or trim or edge for these, we were talking about maybe some 2-inch, what we call that, sprinkler piping, black sprinkler piping, because it's really flexible. You cut it down the middle and maybe do some self tappers with those around it. But then who knows, I don't know if that's going to look goofy or not. We're going to try it, see if that works, and then we're also going to figure out some other door solutions. So that's pretty much it for this video. I'll just give you a quick peek here at what I've been so busy on. And I got the tree guy, arborist, just showing up. So this is my concrete solution. We'll get into that on another video.